that's the question I'm asking. How much are we gonna spend on the courthouse, the jailhouse, and the Banterra Bank building this year? And that's the number one question, before you even do your budgets, on what's left. You've done your appropriations, you've done your tax levies. The levies have been in place since end of December. Is there any thought on what kind of maintenance we're gonna put down on the budget this year? $500,000? That will go pretty fast.
Maintenance for what now? 4 days?
Well, yeah, I keep watching on Channel 3 and all the newspapers all the time that we got leaks. We need, the place is in disarray. What's the number that's going to be put down on the budget this year? Okay, so we're just not gonna do anything this year.
Well, I guess not saying. You've got it all figured out, I guess you're right.
I'm asking you for questions here.
Well, hey, if you don't have any money, what are you gonna do?
Y'all got money. How much money do they have this year?
You mean in general fund or what?
Well, yeah, in your budget. How much is your revenue streams?
We should let the chairman answer some of these questions. Gerald, just let Jeff answer these questions.
On the proposed budget, proposed 2016 budget says total receipts and carryover $1,134,900. That's from property taxes, PILT, mobile home redemption, replacement.
That's the general overall budget. That's a revenue stream.
Well, that's one part of it, the revenue.
Okay.
Fees and fines. The big number is $3,662,900.
Okay, Gerald, now it looks like you got $3 million to work with.
I guess we do.
So you got $3 million. Are we gonna do half of it to building repair this year? You got three big buildings.
Yeah, I think, Sam, our plan is to get the leaks fixed, tuck pointing, whatever it's gonna take, that's gotta be first.
Okay.
And then we'll review the rest of it.
What's the numbers on that? What I'm saying is you gotta have a budget.
Yeah, well, we hope the roof is either guaranteed or not leaking. And then, you know, tuck point will be next, and I have talked to some tuck pointers, and they think they tell me that we can just tuck point the top portion that possibly would be leaking. The rest of the first floor and all up to the second floor would have to be tuck pointed. So that'll be quite a bit cheaper there.
Now, last week I was here and you all was talking about having an inspection in for mold or mildew or spores or whatever.
They,
what did they find?
Don't know.
well, I think the report will be out when, Jason?
Within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks. They've done that. And we got a roof inspector coming in today. So then when he gets his stuff together, we'll have a better idea of what we've got. That's another thing that'll be done after the lake fixed.
It still, once again, goes back, you know, this is April 5th. You're going on to a third of a year's done and you haven't put a budget in place?
Let me tell you something, Sam. The chairman here, March the 8th, it was on the agenda. I texted him, I've asked him if you want to meet, if you want to work on it. I haven't got any response, okay?
Wanting to not look at some
You know,
numbers
I
yesterday.
can't, facilitate this any quicker than I possibly can. I want the budget passed. It's embarrassing to me,
Pretty embarrassing.
you know, that we don't have the budget passed. But the chairman has to work on this as well, and he has to lead us and be the leader. And this isn't happening currently, okay? The budget should be passed, I agree.
So you're blaming it on Jeff Weber?
What I'm saying is, we gotta have leadership and we have to get this budget passed, okay?
Okay.
We've worked hard on the budget, but it was on the agenda March the 8th, and nothing has been done, and we're almost a month past that date right now.
How much do you think they should appropriate for building maintenance this year?
I'm working hard to put the 1% sales tax back on there in November. That's what I'm working on, okay?
So you're looking for just another tax increase?
I'm
and not
looking at
do-
putting
And
one-
not do budgets
I'm
or
just,
do
you're asking me
government?
what I'm asking
Okay,
for,
that's,
and
I'm
I'm
just
telling you.
repeating, so I
Okay.
understand.
Well, I can tell you what I said. I'm asking for the 1% sales tax to be put back on there in November and work hard and try to get that passed.
Well, that's
That's
fine.
what I want.
But when are we gonna do the budget? Don't we have to do a budget now?
The budget's on the agenda. The budget should be done,
That's right.
okay? Unless the chairman tells me today that it's not ready and prepared yet again, it's not. But I think it should be. If he wants to meet with me or Gerald, he's happy to call a meeting and I will be here to work on it.
But, okay, comes down to Jeff, hasn't done the budget. That's what they're saying, Jeff.
Well, Juanita and I worked on the blank spaces yesterday.
So is it ready and prepared?
No, actually, I was gonna have her bring it up today to see what y'all wanted in the judiciary accounts.
I mean, I was
For the
available.
2016
I was available
budget.
yesterday. Anybody could have called me and I could have came here and worked on it. I was here Sunday for 8 hours. So, I mean, I'm available and ready. It is embarrassing that we don't have this budget passed. I agree with you.
Did we put anything in the budget, Jeff, yesterday, for maintenance?
No, not yet. We need, if we're gonna adjust it, then we need all three of us to be here. That's my opinion.
I agree. I mean,
Is that something that would interest you? I mean, would you like to?
I mean, I can look into it, but I mean, you know.
We definitely need to get it.
We're 3 or 4
done,
months
yeah.
past. I mean, these questions should have been answered back in January or December of last year. But you asked me what my plan is, Sam, and I told you what my plan is.
So we're just not gonna do anything with a court, well, we don't know, that's an unfair question to you. That's unfair. Okay, it goes back to the county board as general. Are y'all gonna put anything in to fix the courthouse, the sheriff's building, and the, Mantera for this budget year?
I mean, we're currently trying to set aside $1,000 a week for courthouse renovations. We've been trying to do that. for a while.
$1,000 a week, I thought we was looking at borrowing $5 or $6 million to redo everything.
We're looking at a bond for sales tax.
Well, the bond wasn't gonna be able to cover everything. And that was based on.
That's your opinion.
That
We
was
think
mine, that was based on projections that you're gonna have growth and all this new income.
That's your opinion.
And then if there wasn't, it goes right to property tax. So really, you're looking at in my opinion, you're looking at a property tax
And that's your
increase.
opinion, and I disagree with that.
I haven't seen anything else to make me change any other than that you're looking for a property tax.
That's your opinion.
But it goes back to a question at hand, what are we gonna do about this budget?
I'm ready to, if the chairman tells me it's ready and prepared, I'm ready to pass it today. That's the reason it's on the agenda. If it's not, we're gonna have to work hard and get it passed.
Don't you think everything should wait till you get your budgets done and see what your monies are?
I think that's a question for Jeff.
Don't you think that everything should be put on hold until you do a budget and get it done?
Everything meaning,
Paying bills, everything?
I guess I had to defer to Patrick. I don't even know that it's legal paying bills without budget. Or do you have, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, all the claims, as you know, of the county come through the county
Yeah,
board.
and we've been signing them.
And they're signed by the county board authorizing payment of the claim. Mr. Strautmeyer is correct. The tool that the county board should use to govern the offices financially is the budget. That's correct. And the office holders are to operate within their budgets. Now, my understanding from the other office holders is that we have submitted budgets last year for payment, for approval for this year, and that we are to operate within the numbers that we have submitted to the county board. the 2016.
At least until other
Correct. Till the
information.
is received from the county board, that's correct.
Another question, don't you think, what's the prudence on part of the county clerk's office of not paying the bills until there's a budget? Isn't that within the prerogative of the county clerk's office too? Shouldn't she be exercising that?
Is that legal or not, I guess? I don't know how it works.
The direction comes from the office holders requesting payment to the county board approves the claim, and then it's submitted for payment to the clerk. The clerk is authorized to make payment based on the funds that are available, but I don't know that a clerk can refuse, absent some other direction, to pay claims that have been rightfully submitted.
Okay, it comes back down to the question, how much is gonna be appropriated for maintenance and repair on the buildings this year?
Getting back to your original question, saying that $5 or $6 million, I think, in my opinion, I've talked with other two commissioners, I think that's inflated, about double. So I think we're actually gonna borrow that much, or do the sales tax, or the bonding company rather, but I don't anticipate spending near that.
So what you're just outlining to me, that the whole campaign for a tax increase was really a farce, based upon artificial numbers, just
Well,
made up numbers.
That's what the
That's what
engineer-
you're saying now.
That's
No,
what
listen, you're putting words in Gerald's mouth. That's
No,
not
I'm
true.
just sitting here
Listen,
listening.
This,
I mean-
listen, this study, they're experts at this. They do this on a daily basis. Can they give us defined exact numbers? No, we know that. Until you start the bidding process and get competitive bidding, we don't know exactly what the numbers are gonna be.
No,
They gave us a range of what they thought it would be. And that's the business that they're in. And I'm confident that they know what they're talking about, Sam.
I think what Gerald was talking about, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they had some Cadillac.
They did, and there's,
repairs in there.
and there's some things that we could possibly mark off if need to be. But you need to go and be honest with the taxpayers and tell them, this is what, it's a possibility. But we could always go back and it'd be less, that's just quicker, it would be paid off, and it would be taken away, the tax would be taken away, which is a benefit, which is good. Wouldn't you much rather the commissioners go and say, okay, it possibly could be $5 million, and we come in and it's 3.5, instead of saying it's 5, and we come in at 7?
I think the public probably prefers the commissioners being halfway honest from a get-go. That's what I think the public is in transparency.
I think we're being completely honest.
We are, evidently you're saying something today, but all the numbers we heard last summer and stuff are inflated, and that they're really not real numbers.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what he just shook his head and said,
Well,
yes.
listen, I don't agree. I'm saying they
Okay.
cannot give us specific numbers until bidding is done. I mean, anybody would understand that. Until a competitive bidding is done, you don't know what the real numbers are gonna be. But they are on the high end because that's the way it needs to be set up. If we come in and it's 3.5 or $4 million, that is quicker, the bond will be paid off and taken off the books. Do you agree with that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand, but
you
I
agree with
also
that?
understand governments.
Do you
I don't
agree
think
with
it
that?
will happen.
It has a sunset date.
Why would I think that would happen when these people, when I see out of county government, they can't even maintain the buildings they have? Why would I expect that to be a true statement?
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
It's
From
9
your
o'clock.
all's track record, you would expect. But what Gerald's pointing out is already, is that you can actually make changes here in the courthouse with a budgeting process of doing the maintenance ongoing. That's what he's saying in a roundabout way.
Once again, I feel like you're putting words in his mouth. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. It's time for
Let me
Patrick.
just clarify something, Sonny. The bathrooms in the building. We have a pipe structure in the wall. Well, they're saying $500,000.
Yes.
Well, and I asked the guy point blank, I think maybe you was at the last meeting.
It was, I was there. I found find that
So what are you
outrageous.
gonna do for $500,000?
$500,000.
Well,
Correct.
they want, you know, the urinals are concreted into the floor. They wanna bust all that out there, put them on the wall, new toilets, new sinks, tile on the floor and all that. The stalls around the toilet. I don't think we need it. I mean, we've got a building 80 years old. I think we need to get functional. And I'm good.
So why haven't we been doing it? I'm not even disagreeing with you, but it still comes part of the budgeting process. How about if you budget $200,000 this year on this kind of stuff? Or $250,000? It all comes down to the number of how much you're gonna budget this year.
We're a minute late. We'll talk
We've,
about the
well,
budget at
I'm saying we've got
10:30.
other things that there's no way that we can, I don't think budget, heating and air, $750,000. I mean, it would just take, I don't think there's any way we can save that much money or even budget that much money for it.
You got $3 million in the budget right now.
Let's
That's,
move on.
I mean, that is for.
They got $3 million in the budget right now.
Sam, that is for every office to run. Do you understand that?
Excuse me.
Do you understand that?
Do I understand it?
Yes.
I understand you can cut offices.
All right.
That's I understand.
Larry and Patrick.
Please, I insist.
Well, check this. This one, on the right. goes down.
Whoa.
Where'd you go? We're reporting coming down.
Okay. Give us some info or,
I guess we're here to seek permission, blessings, or whatever, and move into the, I don't know if we refer to it as the new courthouse or the old Banterra Bank building. Everybody else, or most of the court system's up there, so I don't really wanna run files up and down Market Street, so. That's what I see.
Right, and I think that last week I told you all some of the issues that we have. I think Larry and I are maybe in a little different situation. If the judge is gonna be in a location, the clerk really needs to be in the same location. So if the judge is gonna be at the old Banterra building, that's where the clerk needs to be. It's a little more convenient for me to move files back and forth, but over the long run, I think that's gonna present a problem for my office, and the convenience aspects, and then you just got the quality of the room and the fact there's active leaks that present issues that obviously I think long-term need to be addressed before we can stay in that building. So I understand that we had a study performed over the weekend and that we're gonna have to wait till that study comes back for potentially before long-term decisions are made. But from my standpoint, I'd like the commissioners to begin looking to the direction that the state attorney's office be moved to that building within the not too distant future.
Let me ask you this, Kevin Myers from RKW, has he contacted both you guys?
he tried to call, well, he called me last week and I thought he was in town last night, but
Well,
he didn't get a hold of
I
me.
think he's coming in town today. I have to work tomorrow, so he's gonna come by my house tonight, but he plans on meeting with you two tomorrow on Wednesday. What they had, Kevin will help us, Eric will too. If it looks like, we're moving in that direction of moving Larry, the circuit clerk and the state's attorney there, if they can just help us where we need to maximize our space to put people in, that way we're not, putting, people in and then later on, if we had to move everybody, for a period of time to either remodel the courthouse or what, to try to maximize the space the first time, so we're not moving people again later on, is what he said. They kinda worked up a sheet, but, Kevin just didn't know if you all would be interested in them doing that or not. So he plans on, he told me he's trying to reach both of you.
He
talked to
has,
you
I thought he
once.
was gonna call me last night, maybe I misunderstood.
And, so anyway, I'll see him, he's coming in town this evening. I think that we should, I think Larry and the judge have been down in the basement and you kinda have looked at the areas, that's what I was told by somebody.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that area?
In the way of what? It's plenty of area.
I I mean,
I see your
is in,
point, and
is in cost, I mean, do you feel like you can go in there and the cost would be very minimal to the county to do anything, or not?
Again, I mentioned this last week about file drawers are the big things for current files, and, you know, we're in a different situation, we have thousands of files.
How about that room that's got those right
But
off?
those will work for the non-current stuff.
Okay.
You need to have the stuff up front, you can't walk across the hall 50 or 60 times a day to get it. But these can be disassembled and reassembled,
Okay.
so,
So this is
we'll
something-
have very minimal cost.
Have you all been down there and know where the judge is talking about, or asked them to put him in? I don't know if you all talked.
Where their compressor room is at, or has he got a new room?
Well, that's where the judge wants to,
Said it never.
was gonna be, but I'm talking about where Larry and them's
Oh,
gonna be located. There's that room, and then there's like an office that walks into, to your,
Yeah, that's gonna be a little awkward, but
and Patrick and I looked at it last Friday, and I didn't know if it's possible if we ran a wall there and put probation, or put, not probation, but, what's it called?
Public defender.
Public defender, put 2 offices in there, one for each one, and then there's that corridor, makes it a hallway for them. I don't know if there's enough room to do that, it's just, I would hate to waste that square footage of a whole room just as a walkthrough for you guys. That's just what I was thinking. But, you know, maybe, later on this week, or one day, we can, if you all want, we can go down there and just look at the building with Larry and Patrick.
I don't think there's any question that, the area for the office will stay the same. The access to it may, so we can go ahead and even start. This is a good week, I mean, the judges are all in Chicago,
But,
so we can get some.
because that other
things
hallway,
done.
the way I understood it, the judge wants that hallway
And
locked.
it has to be.
It has
You
to
can't
be.
have people just walking by the judge's office and popping in, you just can't do that.
Okay, so that prevents that other entrance into your area, so that only leaves that one entrance to come in, right?
Right.
So, do you think the cost will be minimal?
I do. The file drawers were gonna be the big issue, and those can be, again, disassembled, reassembled.
What do you think, Patrick, in your office is in cost?
The main cost is gonna be getting the electronics, the computer and the phone set up. I don't know yet how much that will be. I don't anticipate it being very much. And a lot of it, I mean, you know, John, the State's Attorney and I would have separate offices, and those, there are already separate offices there, and then there's an area that I looked at, if the county board agreed, where the secretaries could have, it's a larger office, so that wouldn't require really anything done to it, no walls are to be put up or taken down, or a doorways made. So I think we could do it fairly minimally.
Is the judge figuring on the small courtroom down there also?
He is,
Is there room for that also?
I've had a couple conversations with him about it. He thinks there is. I think that's accurate as well. There are some issues he has to work out with the administrative office of the courts. As he explained last week, on an emergency courtroom, we don't have to meet all the standards of the Supreme Court, but there are some minimal things we do have to meet. And he wants to make sure those are addressed before he puts his stamp of approval on a small courtroom in the basement.
Where would a small courtroom in the basement be?
There was a room that appears to be a media room. At one point had a large whiteboard, but that's been taken
Is that to
down.
the left of the kitchenette?
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
Now, you had mentioned the judge originally had planned on putting his office in that, has that little compressor in there for the water system. I understand now that's not where he wants to be, is that correct?
Right.
Not long term.
He's in the room with the roll cabinets, I guess we're gonna take those out, I guess, isn't he?
That was an assumption I made, but I don't.
I don't think so.
I don't think that we wanted that done.
And I don't know that, I don't wanna speak for him, but that
I don't
area
know
is
where
where
they
he
would go,
wants us
I mean, they're in
to.
those channels and
Yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah, that's a part of the building.
What would that room be if you don't use it as office? What was his plans?
The compressor room?
Yeah,
That room, if it was not his office, would be the jury room. The room that, just to the left of the kitchenette is gonna be the jury room for the first trial we have later this month. His long-term plan was, if the AOIC would approve, would be to use that room to the left of the kitchenette envision that as a small courtroom. So then we need another room as a jury room, and that was to use the room with the air compressor as a jury room. And we also need space for attorneys to meet with clients, or attorneys to converse out of the presence of the jury or out of the courtroom while it's otherwise functioning. So that room would double as that when a jury is not hearing the case. Basically, it's everyday court.
Does the judge keep on, I mean, all his files is what you keep, right?
Right.
So, that room, I was just thinking, you know, that room where his office is, there's a walkway and there's a large room that you can see files. If there's some way we can access that room another way, so you can keep more files, I mean, do you need more file room?
You know, with the room that we do have up there with the roll,
Yeah,
would be plenty if I can move the ones from 1850 off-site, which is ultimately the goal we have. And then that frees up a lot of room there. I don't know.
When you say 1850, you mean 1850 and prior, or how many years are you talking?
From the beginning, we have every file that's ever been filed in Massac County,
Okay.
the original.
What year would that be, do you know?
What is it?
1830 something.
Is
So
it-
you're looking at 20 some odd years of files.
I'm sorry.
Looking at 20 some odd years of files from then to 1850, or are you looking from, you don't know?
No, from the very beginning,
Yeah.
we have,
I think what Jeff's asking is.
How many years of?
How many years of files could you take off-site?
well, once they're done and the appeal time's run on them and all, you can take them pretty much all off. So we have people come in and want, a copy of the divorce decree of their great-grandparents from 1920 something. Right now, we have to run down in the basement, get it, bring it up, make them a copy, and run it back down. Eventually, that should all be on the internet, with everybody have access to it. You can go click on it, pull it up, print whatever you want off of it. Once that
In the
happens,
comfort of your own home.
right, once that happens, then there's no need that anybody to really ever touch these files again. That's why they can be moved off-site in an environmentally controlled area. And the next clerk may shred them all, but this one isn't. So that's kind of being held up right now.
You have to
a
get
little bit.
permission before you could even shred them.
Yes, you do.
So it might be an option to at some point.
It would be an option to somebody. It's not an option to me.
Okay. So minimal cost, is there any chance, or where we at with funds for minimal cost that was froze up? Or is froze up?
I don't believe that those funds would be able to be used without specific direction from the court.
And we don't have any idea when that will be? Is that a question I could ask somebody?
You can ask it.
As the judge, yeah.
Well, is it out of his hands now or not?
No.
Okay, it is in the judge's hands. I thought it was froze up out of his hands as well. Am I misunderstanding?
Well, he'd be the person you'd speak with, would answer that question.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, the worst thing you do is tell me no, wouldn't it?
Right.
Or put me in jail, I guess, but.
And there is an issue, we don't have obviously as many files as Mr. Grace does, but we would need room for storage as well. Now, I understand that the move, if it occurs, is gonna be a temporary emergency move, so there may be some other things done, but that's something just to keep in mind, is in addition to place for people to work, there would be a place for our files. And not just the ones we're currently actively taking to court, but long-term storage files.
Since we're talking temporary at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, but your files that are in the basement, you're not planning on moving those right now, right?
Not right now.
Okay. You're just, if you were to move, you're thinking of moving very current files, or active cases maybe, or how, is that how I should say it?
Right. Those that we use
Okay.
are still, right. Which is-
Open, active, whatever you wanna call it, okay. Is that the same with you, Patrick, or not?
No, I would wanna move all, cause it's,
Well, your files are probably in more danger.
well, that's part of it. The other thing is, today's active file becomes an inactive file and tomorrow becomes an active file again.
Okay.
And sometimes
Because
outside of my control.
repeat
Have
customers,
an appeal, you have somebody who's on probation and they violate probation, and then they have to come back to court for that probation violation.
but you still don't have that, is,
No, not nearly as many as Mr. Grace would have. And then we have a requirement to keep anyone who is currently incarcerated, we have to keep their file in case there's some appeal or action taken that would cause the case to come back to court. We'd have to have that information to retry the case.
well, I guess, I mean, I'm not saying you get rid of your files, I'm thinking
No.
just moving some files, and
But right
is
now
there any
they're-
files that you would?
Right now, as you mentioned, there's active leaks in the room where we keep those files, and so they're tarped, but if somebody's not there every day checking on them, I wouldn't wanna leave them here.
Roger.
I mean, the way I look at it is, Patrick, we need to go ahead and make the decision, either today or next Tuesday, quickly. His offices, they need to get out of there so the repairs can be made at some point. Mary's office, he works hand in hand with the court system. It makes, even though he does have some black mold in that file room, which we have to address, but the bigger issue, or they're both big issues, but one of the big issues is he works hand in hand with the judge. I think it makes perfect sense, since the judge is down there now, the whole court system's gonna be there, that he should move. It's gonna be minimal cost, and he can go in that space. It might be, in the future, we have to tighten that space up. Larry's gonna have to be flexible, and Patrick too.
You may have to grind some files.
If it had to be that in the future that the whole courthouse had to get out to remodel it or whatever, we might all have to suck in a little bit on space because there'll be more people there. But I think, to me, it's not much of a discussion. It almost has to be done. I mean, his office is, in my opinion, worse than, as bad as probation or is worse. And Larry works hand in hand with the judge, and it pretty much needs to be down there too. I mean,
Because the judge is out of town, isn't he?
but, if you and Gerald want to, I pretty much know where they wanna go, but if you all wanna go down there later today and see where Larry's going, or whatever you all wanna do, I just think that there's one room that I hate to give up that wasted space, or that room there. If we can build a wall and put a public defender in there, cause they don't have much space where they're at right now.
Ms. Shaner, who is the public defender, has more than it appears. I mean, when you go into a room, it kinda opens up.
Right.
She also has to similar to me, she has to maintain files. She won't have as many as I do, but
Yeah.
she has to have a place where she can keep files. And that could be done, doesn't have to be done in the room where her office is, but I'm sure, like I would say, would wanna make sure that no one else can access the files. So she just could put them like in the second floor open where anybody can walk in and look at them. She had a secure place, maybe that's something that would work.
That's just my thoughts. I don't know what you all think.
Well, I'm not bashful about asking the judge if he'll release some of those funds. Anybody else not want me to do that?
And there's certain things he can spend the money on, and certain
Certain
things he
things he
cannot.
cannot.
And he'll tell you that. I'm not speaking for the judge, but he'll tell you that. I'll just let him answer that question, but I don't want it to be presented or assumed that those monies can be used to pay for the state's attorney's office. No, they cannot. They're in no way connected with the state's attorney's office. They may be able to be used if it's deemed appropriate by the administrative office of the courts. They may be able to be used for Mr. Grace's, some of his expenses, but that still is a decision that's made by our judge and the chief judge of the circuit.
Both of which are out of town, correct?
Right, there's a conference there this week, yes.
Anybody know when they'll be back?
I don't know.
Monday, I think.
Yeah, I know that we have court Monday.
Okay. Got thoughts, Carol?
Jason, you mentioned move Larry Grace first, is that what you said?
Well, no, I'm not saying which one's first or second. I would just think, it obviously needs to be done. I mean, I would think Larry, when court starts Monday,
Is there no no court this week at all.
I would think if court starts Monday and he's still here, it's, you know, it's gonna be, more of a challenge than what he's used to, but, I guess in my opinion, if you foresee it's gonna happen, you might as well take advantage of the time this week. If you two don't foresee that he's gonna be moving down there, then it does need to be done, I guess, but if
I
it is
think
gonna
it's-
be
I
done, they
think
might as
it's-
well take advantage of the.
If we're going to fix this building, and I think we are, am I thinking right?
I hope so.
Then he might as well get out of the way. I sure would like to capture some help.
Again, I don't think it's gonna be a lot of money that we're talking about here.
So, I mean, you get, I know that probation used Wagner, of course, that's a cost, but they paid for it. I don't know if we have that option. Is it possible to use trustees or people like that to move your stuff, or do you not want them around any of your stuff?
As long as they're supervised,
That's the same with me.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be there, or assistant state attorney will be there, I don't.
What do
I
you,
fault for this.
what do you think, Sheriff? Is
I've
that,
got 2 trustees, and a lot of times I just got 1 jailer, so I can't take the only jailer I've got and have him leave the jail.
right? Well, would it be, I mean, would you all think it would be economically better to have another jailer to come in and work overtime, to be in the jail, and the other one help oversee the trustees? Be cheaper than hiring someone to move us with it.
It would be cheaper, but Patrick, I'll ask you this, what happens if one of them gets hurt moving a file cabinet? Who takes responsibility for that?
That would be a concern. Another option, and I've not spoken with probation about this, but would be to use public service workers.
Okay.
Now, that would be a little more labor intensive than normal public service work that's done, but they maybe can offer some incentives to do it, meaning you get extra hours for performing 1 for 8, but get 16 hours worth of credit or something. I don't want to speak for them, that's something that's been done in the past, but
When you say public what? Public
Service
service workers, what's that mean?
people are ordered by the court to do community service. They have to be supervised, so they have to,
Where do they normally work?
some work here in the courthouse, assisting
Janitorial.
janitorial, some work with the city. We've placed people at Fort Massac before with parks.
Cleaning up or whatever.
Do you know how many currently would have available, or?
Now, and, you know, I think it'd be better to just direct that question to the probation department.
Okay.
Well, I would hope they work with us.
I think they would. They have their regulations too, that they have to follow.
What do you have on thoughts on how you was gonna move, Larry? I mean, do you have a better option or opinion?
Maybe, hopefully you had it all figured out already. You just-
I've got 4 deputy clerks down there just chomping at the bits, which, I mean, we can do a lot of it, but I'm not gonna ask them to move boxfuls of files. Yeah, I would take public service people,
Why not ask him to move it?
who,
Your girls.
you go ask them.
I'll ask them. Hey,
I'm sure
have
they
you-
would.
There's pyramids in Egypt, one bite at a time, that's how you eat an elephant.
I'm sure they would, and I guess if we have to, then that's what we'll do.
Jeff, I asked one question, I've been asked this all the last couple of weeks, what are you gonna do about the security? You gonna leave him here, you gonna move him to the new court?
Does he need to be here?
I would think he would follow the court system. But that's just, I don't know, what do you guys, I don't know.
Well, when prior to the court, for the security officer coming, I know that the 2 representatives who came and basically requested of the county board, one was from the state's attorney's office, and one was from the circuit clerk's office. And I know that the representatives of the judicial branch were in favor of it as well. But that may be a conversation you also want to have with those officers who may be staying here.
good with them moving.
Is that you making a motion for
I'll
them?
make the motion.
All right, I'll second that motion, that they can go ahead and move, but, space could be different.
Subject to
Down the
moving
road.
around.
I mean, let's hope not, but you never know.
I understand.
Okay.
We'll play by the rules.
Well, I guess the direction I'd ask for is, there are some places I've seen there that would be, what I think would be satisfactory. You just want me to use those places, or do you want to go down and actually give direction on where the state attorney's office is set up?
I think you and Jason already looked, didn't you, or was that?
I looked with them on Friday, I was down there, doing some other stuff in St. Patrick, but you two are welcome to go down there. I mean, I felt like that, he chose some space that would, it's close to probation, cause he has to work a lot with probation. I feel like he used the minimal amount of space that he could use, you know, I think it'd be fine.
There is, and I think as it relates to the state attorney's office, the lobby area, and the assistant state attorney's office, those are pretty simple. The issue is we would need a conference room, which now is what we use the law library for. There isn't really any space at the moment that is perfect for that. By that I mean, if other offices have to move, that may have to move. If it's placed in one area, then, you know, if you wanna probably move it to another area to make space. So there, I guess I'd ask for some direction on where you'd like that to be.
Can you give me an example of what you do in your conference room? Is this with a plaintiff, I guess, or
No, we meet with
whoever?
just about anybody. Normally when we meet with more than one person, we meet in a conference room. So we have truancy meetings basically every month with representatives from the regional offices and truant students and parents. We have meetings with sometimes one of the board members and maybe the highway engineer or some, just we need a place where we can meet with more than one person. And the law library's books may need to be moved as well. Probably should be moved to avoid the water damage. Now, not all of them, I don't think, need to be set up in the bank building. There's certain books that really aren't used much at all anymore and haven't been updated in several years, so they'd probably just be stored, or something else can be done with them if they're not necessary. And that's a question the judge would want to have input on. But the ones that are actively being updated and used, we probably want to set up somewhere there.
So you still use a hardback book some?
Sometimes, yes. Some people use them more
Regular.
than others. And we have a fund that keeps that, generates, there's a fee that's generated that funds that,
Funds the law library.
correct, it's paid out, that's not paid out of county general fund. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't mind to go and take the space that Jason and I looked at, but for a conference room, there were about 2 or 3 different thoughts that we had.
I would rather Jeff and Gerald have input on that, so.
Right. I think so.
Yeah. I don't know, what's your all schedule, how y'all get together this week one day, or whatever?
Today and tomorrow are pretty well wide open, so if we want to do it after the meeting, I would be happy to, after you're done here.
I couldn't do it this afternoon at all, but, perhaps tomorrow.
Okay. And Gerald, if you want, to go, I mean, I'd go down with you separately if you want.
Okay.
Just come and find me when you come down.
Sounds good.
Oh, there's a motion on the table. All in favor, or is there any other discussion?
No, there's no other discussion.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Should we appropriate a budget for them moving? I'm gonna say, what, $15?
Let me go with 20.
You gonna pitch in 5?
It would be probably wise to give direction on that.
I guess it'll fall under your budget anyhow, won't it?
That's what I would try to do. Now, toward the end of the year, I may come and say, look, I budgeted this much for
Yeah,
phone, but
we need
with
to
the move, it was more.
reallocate or whatever.
Right.
guess I mean, that suits me. We just-
What, if I get into it and it appears there's gonna be some more
Significant.
expense, then I'll come back to the board and we can address that at that time.
That'll work.
You want us to follow up with probation on those questions or?
I can.
Okay, thank you.
And then,
Probation as far as moving?
right,
Yes.
and if there are
Any
issues,
help from,
if there are issues with that, then again, I'll come back to the board and we'll hash it out.
thank you.
Thank you.
Dana? Tell us you got about 7 million.
75.
Well, you're about 10% there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Email this
I
morning
handed my
that
homework off.
we do have 81,000 in the pipe. I haven't been able to get on the website this morning to see what it is, but it's
You
coming.
mean where it's from?
What, yeah, what it's for.
Okay.
And that was the, so I told her I would drop it off for you.
I'm sorry, what did you say was coming out?
81,000, some odd change. And as soon as I leave here, I didn't have time to get on their website this morning. But when I got my email that we were getting it, I gotta go one place to look it up. But I'll look it up and come back in and let you know. And we did, send that information that the auditors were looking for to start their audit.
Good.
That's it, so. That's all I have.
They've been asking questions already or trying to check in? Anything else going on in your office? That's all I'm got. Unless somebody else got questions for Dana?
Before you're done with Dana, Dana had asked me to review the CIC peopleware agreement for the year, and I've done that. I'll have it put on the agenda for next week. But if any of you want copies to review, I'll have copies in my office to pick up.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
See my part?
Joe? Come on down. Alex? Give you hand. Nothing to share with the rest of the class? I don't know, Patrick. Think we'll step out and ask him? If he's out there. Let's see if I can catch him.
Procedure, if a tree is off the right of way and it's hanging over the road and, maybe close to some of the limbs, does the county get involved in that?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, if it's,
Just the woods there?
excuse me, if it's a live tree and the limbs are hanging over the right of way, I mean, we have, I guess, the right to cut whatever's overhanging.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a dead tree and it's kind of on, the trunk is on private ground and it's leaning over towards the right of way and inevitably gonna fall,
Yeah.
we usually contact the property owner and ask, it's okay if we take it down because it's gonna cause us a problem in the future, but that's kind of an informal way of handling it, that's how we
Yeah.
handle it.
It's in front of Joe Hicks's house. You know Joe?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Maybe I do.
We was up there last year.
Oh,
Remember the county got off on his property there?
Talking about on the,
That's his name.
where it makes that long sweeping curve and you go straight on the gravel, or?
Yeah,
you talking about up
I
there?
think the
off-
county road ends just past his house, I think. Isn't
Right
it?
off of Crestwood?
Yes,
I actually think the county road ends before it gets to his house.
really okay. Well,
That may
we
answer your
need-
question.
Yeah, that may answer the question, I need to get that, maybe look at that. And I haven't looked at it, I will, when I get back to Joe.
Is he asking for us to take it down? Or you just saw the tree and was?
No.
For safety wise?
A guy drives through there, Gene Hall, lives back in there.
Okay.
He's wanting it down some, or the one from Lynn's got, or for some reason. I don't, maybe they'll hit the truck, or, you know, dragging on the cars, I don't know. I'll just have to look and see.
Well, yeah, I'm
But
not-
it's not a county road.
Yeah, I don't, I've gotta actually go out there and actually spot where the tree is at versus where our road ends to see
Yeah.
where it's at. I mean, obviously, either way, if it's off the right of way on his property, sure we'll have to have his permission, cause you know what,
Well, it's not on Hicks. It's across the road from Hicks.
Across the road.
Well, Hicks may own that, but I don't believe he does.
I think Thompson may own across the
I
road.
bet he does. Jack Thompson.
So,
Let me do a little check and I'll get back with you on it.
okay. Yeah. But,
What you guys out doing today?
well, as you know, we're out brush cutting still. That's, you know, always controversial, but we had a guy that called and thanked us yesterday for doing such a good job with this, so, you know, we get some attaboys and some not so happy. But it was kinda
That's
good.
the way it is.
It was very good to get an attaboy yesterday, cause it made this guy happy that we trimmed around his, front of his property on the.
What part of the
right
county?
way, over on Krim Road.
I'm lost.
Joe Copeland or something is his name.
What was his name?
Joe Copeland or
Yeah.
Coleman, Copeland.
I think he may be dead, maybe it's his son. Right there before you get Joppa bypass.
I'm not really exactly sure where it was. I know he called yesterday. He was thankful. If we were out doing that, did the right way in front of his house.
Anything else?
No.
I texted Patrick and he didn't text him back yet.
Yeah.
Wanna wait or what's your?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
That's no big deal. We got some time.
Okay. We'll deal with that later.
All right.
Thanks. See you later.
Thank you, Bill. Got a second?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we have on that fire board.
Did they have a meeting last night or did I miss it or do you know?
I don't know.
I sent one of them a text and I didn't ever get no answer back.
I don't know when they had the meetings.
Well, I was told the first Monday of the month, so I checked yesterday and I didn't get no reply.
Do you know when they meet, sure? I don't know.
I'm gonna have to get more aggressive, man.
Well, I just got it here when you get ready. You know, when you get.
You got a name or you got?
No, I just got.
A reminder.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I got two people up, you know, and a note from the fire department on.
Did Mike give you that or did he mail that in?
Yeah.
I don't think, that's one number I don't have. Do you have his cell number?
Here it is, 638 6276.
Have you heard anything out of him, Jason?
Nope. If you can give him a call, we'll come in, and you can text him.
Ted, you might as well come on up, I think.
Jason.
Get you finished. Back to one page?
Yeah.
Marshall talked to me yesterday, said she talked to you. I just changed the number on the line item. If they decide, are they gonna try to move some this week, that would,
I understand he was gonna, not Patrick, but I think Larry would, because there's no court this week. But,
I'll get with him, like I said, I might be, I've got one over there that I might be able to use. Knows how to do a little mechanical stuff. Now,
okay.
he's the one who usually sends
Jeff, did you get security or anything talked about that?
No, I didn't even approach it. What do you need
Well, when I was down there last week and talked to the judge, he first indicated that he thought people could come down the stairway off the alley at the end of the courtroom. There's no way to check people when they come down that stairway. There's absolutely, I mean, they can walk right in the courtroom, nobody checks.
Can we make it where that door is don't have a door handle on it?
You can be the back when you can go out, for
Yeah.
emergency exit, but not come in.
it needs to be I call it a crash door.
The metal detector set up out front where they go through that before they go down the elevator.
When I was told, you talking about when you walk in the front door, I was told the other day that the judge wants that door locked all the time, only people have access to it.
Just that one just to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the main entrance when you come into the bank.
Okay.
Come into the lobby, and let it set up there.
Okay.
You talking about the door over by the drive-through lobby?
No, I was talking about when you come through the main door, you can turn left immediately and go down those stairs to the courtroom.
Oh, that's right. I got you. He
You go
wants
down,
it
you
locked
go down
back.
towards that, yeah, he wants that door locked at all times, just him and I guess people in the court system have a key to that.
I'd get right more or less into his office.
Yeah, it goes right down to that, corridor where he's at, which that's gonna be completely locked down because that door to the right's even gonna be locked as you get down there to prevent people from the hallway to come into that's down there by where Larry's at. But I guess my issue was, you had said something about security with that Securitas or whatever that company was. Is that something needed? I gave the information to Jeff, I don't know.
We don't have one here, but I didn't know if it was gonna be any different up there.
Okay. I mean, it don't matter to me, I mean, unless the judge requested it, or y'all feel like that equipment's down there, and then we have equipment in this building too, but, it don't matter to me, I mean, it's less cost if we don't have it,
Yeah, I didn't, we ain't had it yet, have we?
so,
Is this an alarm system, I assume, or what?
Do we wanna move him up there, or we wanna wait and talk to the judge, or?
The security officer.
it's just me talking, I mean, I would think that the security officer would move with the court system. You know, the state's attorney and circuit clerk, all of them supposed to be down there.
Well, they're gonna have court Monday, did they say?
Who knows, they supposed to have court 2 weeks ago down there, wasn't they, or on the 29th of March?
I mean, they need to be down there Monday if they're gonna have court.
Was it the 29th? Maybe that's just a week ago.
I know we can't, we can't afford to have security both places.
No.
Do that. And
It was either the judge or somebody told me that they didn't really have much concern because they work in, whoever, it was an employee or judge or whoever, might even been Judge Williamson. Well, we go to courtrooms all the time. Some places they just don't have a security officer. So whoever that was, and I'm almost certain it was one of the judges, didn't seem too concerned.
The only difference with this building is gonna be like, now, if Nick leaves to go across the street and get an inmate, he's
He's a
back
long
in
way
5
away.
minutes.
Yeah.
Now, if he has to leave that building, put him in the car, drive down here, and take some more back, it may be 10 or 15 minutes, where there's nobody in the courtroom. Somebody did the same in the courtroom, there's nobody there.
I would say.
Is there any way that we can maybe tap into some of the Illinois State Police's extra time that they have to wait trucks? I mean, they got a lot of time on their hands, they could,
Well,
especially on Tuesdays.
If you want, Friday afternoon when Judge Jackson gets back, I can call and ask him, see what he thinks. I mean, worst case, quickly, I can just send one of the guys up there with a wand, I don't have to take the.
I don't think that thing would be that hard to move, would it?
I hate to move it up there and then they decide, well, they're gonna have to go next week.
Well, that could happen too. I mean, they could be having court in a small courtroom, couldn't they? They're not, as far as I know, he may still be planning on doing it.
I'll just go with him.
Ted, does that other one work? Oh, that,
Does it make noise?
It's some business, yeah, it'll give you a false reading.
How much would it be cheap to get it worked on?
It's $240.
There he is, it's, just put it up there, make him think.
Yeah. I'll check with Judge this weekend.
How many people you got in the hotel?
35.
Got vacancies. Room to spare.
I said.
did, look it up, it's, for local share of income tax collected in January, and voucher
Hey.
month for February. And I was gonna ask earlier, do we have a date yet to go check out that FICA and FICA system?
I don't know.
I think
Well,
it's
listen,
Gary
y'all,
working on that.
no, I think we had a text, y'all were in a group text, right?
Mhm.
Which that was interesting, but anyway,
Was I involved in this?
no, I sent a group text to Dana,
And Gary.
Juanita, and Gary to figure out when it was, and, I thought y'all came up with a date.
We said the dates that we could, I don't know if Gary's trying to get that together.
No,
I figured
Gary
if
told
he's
me,
wanting to change that he.
Gary told
I'm
me,
not
he
doing
said,
this
Gary told me
Late
that,
work for him.
Gary told me that he's very comfortable with with whatever decision you all make on either system. So, he didn't think it was necessary for him to go, that you and Juanita could go.
Okay.
So,
I see,
I thought you suggested a date,
I suggested the dates that,
but who's calling these people?
that's what I thought that we included in that thing. I got to thinking about it. I thought Gary's the one that wants to switch. If he wants
Yeah,
to
somebody
switch,
needs
he
to call
needs
and make
to
an
let.
appointment. You can't just pop in their office, can you?
Well,
I
I'm
know,
sure
that's
it's
what I
know,
public,
but
I'm sure they
That's,
can,
that's
but
what.
But yeah,
I mean-
well, what's public and what is, I'm gonna take
Sure.
20 minutes to
I
show
understand
Commissioner
that.
Weber something
I'm
that don't
just
live here.
yes, but
Okay, right here, all right, here we go.
I have
I
it
won't be
printed out.
either,
in
I
case you
have
need it.
Gary scheduled for, I don't know what this is, I have Gary scheduled, I'm not reading all of it, but, trust me.
Come on now.
Hey, I only speaketh the truth.
April
Inquiring
18th.
minds wanna know.
April 18th or April 22nd, are you saying you're available that time?
I'm not available, or that is a good time for us. I'm not available the same time you were not available.
Well, which one is it? You're confusing me.
Well, I didn't know which
you're
day you
available.
were
I'm not
free.
available this week, April 4th today.
That was
Okay.
me,
That was me,
and that's me too.
okay. Well, you're here right now.
Well, temporarily.
What she's saying is, she can skip town and go play golf if we're not gonna do
I mean, I'm
this.
taking a vacation day.
That would be
Are you
something
really?
to see if you see me playing
Have you
golf.
played golf?
Never.
Okay, so April
Miniature golf.
18th and 22nd, you're not available.
No, that is, I believe, didn't we put that's a good time for us?
This is what you put exactly. I won't be either. I have Gary scheduled for April 18th through 22nd.
I'd have Gary scheduled between April 18th and the 22nd.
What does that mean?
I would have Gary call and see if we can go visit those other places between the 18th and the 22nd.
Okay. And then
I'm not available the same time you
Juanita said
said.
I'm still in the middle of election, so April 18th to 22nd would be better for me too. And Gary said I will be in Illinois County Spring Conference from April 17th to the 20th. I will call Josh Marine to see if April 21st or 22nd will work. So you're good with that? If he can get April 21st or 22nd. Okay, I'll check with him. He's
Okay.
coming in today and I'll ask him.
Okay,
He should be here any time, shouldn't he?
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Ken, did you need something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a couple minutes?
We might as well jump on it, have we guys?
Everybody else is left, so.
Might as well get something done.
Just a kind of a brief report of what's been going on. At the request of, I think his name is John Morris, the guy from the circuit clerk out of Marion or someplace. He went ahead and installed a bunch of electronics at the new courthouse yesterday. So the internet's ready over there. We put the probation people on the internet, even though they're not exactly one of our customers. So we're ready for phones, internet. We're working on some wiring work for the judge. They're getting ready to move. The building's wired up really nicely for phone and internet, except for the one of the judge's offices doesn't have any cable in it. So the guys are working on that.
Are you talking about which office for him, that one with the concrete walls that's not finished out?
I'm not sure which one it was. Susie was supposed to put up a yellow sticky note identifying where they wanted the jacks mounted. We couldn't find it any place, but. the guy-
Sticky note?
Yeah. But,
We ain't looking hard enough. She said it first.
she and Brent Walters from GMW he's gonna do the work, and they got phone numbers, they can talk to each other. They're gonna bill the judges, people directly for that work and stuff. So all our electronics is over there, we're set up. Like I said, probation people are on the internet using it now, and we're getting ready to move people over. Not sure what the timing's gonna be for the circuit clerk and state's attorney to move. You moving, is a public defender moving too?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
we got a,
We got
figure
our
out our location
application.
for her.
So those people,
I think she's already, I've heard that she's already started moving some of her stuff down there, but not just sitting it there. just to get it out of,
Out of the rain.
yeah. Well, I think she was concerned because we was in there this weekend, and I don't know if she didn't want us to see stuff or what, but they said she was working all Friday, Saturday, just moving stuff and just setting it down there and knocking the door open. I don't know.
Well, the judge, the state's attorney, circuit clerk, and I think probation, they have their own little private network kind of here in the courthouse. And once that gets moved, until that gets moved, I'm going to tie a connection from there to here, so that they can communicate to the server they all need to access. You should take a little rearranging of some connections and stuff, and since we've got routers and everything down there already, won't take a whole lot of work to put the courthouse network in a condition that it can talk to the network down there.
And all that's being billed to the court system, you're saying?
The judge's wiring work, Susie said bill the judge, so I'm not sure who's actually paying for that.
Well, then probation should be paying for the rest, right?
Probation's wait, nothing to do with probation directly, actually.
Okay.
I'd like to get their phone system, but I guess they went to Frontier again.
Well, yeah, I don't know. They called me, they were a week without a phone. They were calling the county clerk's office people that was trying to reach probation.
Here?
Yeah, because they moved last Tuesday and they didn't get their phone until yesterday. I was down there last week and, I don't know why it took so long.
Frontier?
Yeah, I don't know. I was told that they're a little bit shorthanded right now with some people that's retired
Frontier is, yeah.
and they didn't fill the positions.
Another case, we're all set. I think I have enough electronics down there to deal with all the phones, internet, and everything they need. We're set up for up to 24 lines. We always have more electronics, so we have to do more lines. It's not a big deal. When do you think the circuit clerk, state's attorney, and whoever else is going to be actually moving?
A little bit, pretty dang soon.
I would think the
Sounds
circuit
like this
clerk,
week.
I would think the circuit clerk's maybe this week.
I don't think it's at least o'clock tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow, isn't it?
But the state's attorney, Josh is out of town this week, so he might wait till next week, I don't know. He's, spring break with his wife and kids.
I'll get the connection between the two systems tied up probably tonight. And it's pretty straightforward.
I guess I would speak to them, Larry and Patrick, to find out.
And that's pretty much it. I guess we're going to be billing the probation people for their internet connection. We give them internet, they took our phone system, but
They don't like it, huh?
apparently don't want it.
Have you ever talked to him about it?
I talked to them, they say, well, it's paid from out of
Up
some other
above.
county, and we don't care. We don't pay the bill, and they send me a guy's name once or twice, and I try calling them, they don't care, and they don't money there. It's like, all right, fine.
Was it,
That's typical government.
Yeah.
Ain't my money.
what was
Go ahead and take it.
Don't bill the shit out of it.
what was the guy's name that came there and talked to us over the probation? Roger and,
Doers Goins.
yeah, Richard Gomes.
Yeah.
Is that who you talked to?
I had no idea, it's a couple of years ago. That's all I got to say, all ready for them.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks.
See you later.
Next.
I don't know. I don't think they're gonna be ready for me.
Nobody's
I'm not.
We're gonna go through all this.
Is that the stuff I've already seen?
Hang on
That's
just
just a
a
part of
second.
it.
I'll be back momentarily. There's something you can say.
As my presentations is misunderstood, I wanna make it clear that it's just because I believe in being fiscally responsible to taxpayers. And I don't wanna go look at anybody and say I haven't done a good job for them. I wanna make that very clear. With that being said, the first thing I have to bring before you is I am required to have an asbestos report done before I can have a bid taken to have these houses tore down on the buyout. I went and got an asbestos bid, it's $1,400. I don't know anybody else that can do it. If somebody has somebody's name, I can get it.
That's a bid to
That's
look
a
for
bid
asbestos.
to look for asbestos and determine if it's in there before, and if it is, then they'll give a report and somebody, we're gonna have to pay to have it removed or whatever. But this is part of the grant. This is part of FEMA's requirements. This is part of your agreement with them. It's part of the buyout. We have to do it. The downside to this is if we do it and bill it, we're probably not gonna get refunded anytime soon. And I just wanna be
You mean through FEMA?
through FEMA.
They reimburse for this,
Right.
correct?
They reimburse, this is part of that whole process, but for me to move forward in the process, this is a step I must do, okay?
What was the name of the company you just used, Jason? 4-H or?
5H Environmental,
Where were they out of?
Paducah, they're licensed in Illinois.
Okay,
I give you their number.
would you please, and I can get another, just to have another, but
It wouldn't hurt nothing to ask
it
them.
wouldn't hurt to get another bid, I agree, but, again, this is, I can't go further with the process until this is done.
Give me just a second. I'll look it up. I don't have the number.
Now, can you text it to me later, Jason?
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, just bring it to your attention. Okay. Next thing I wanna bring to your attention is this whole thing that explains P-TIL maybe a little bit better so everybody here at the table understands. Okay? Property tax extension limitation law.
You want a copy of that?
I already got a
You can
copy
read
of
that.
it. It's what you gave me the other day.
What I want everybody to understand is, I don't know when P-TIL happened here, what year it happened, whether it was 98, 2000, when it happened. I don't know.
02 or 03.
Okay, but anyway, I just used the example of $3 million because that's kind of the number I hear people saying they levy. And then I ran what the CPI was, all the way through 15, okay, and ran those numbers out. And then I did the same thing, I rounded it to 5%, but if you were a non-P-TIL county, you could have got 4.99 without asking, without having a truth and taxation hearing. I ran that number out. Just in that number of years, that's $1.1 million the taxpayers did not pay this county because of P-TIL.
Okay, pause. The bottom one is non-P-TIL, right?
That's correct.
So it really don't apply to us.
Yeah, it sure does. It most certainly does. It applies to you from the fact that you need to understand that's what the taxpayers did to you as a taxing entity. You need to understand that most counties were getting 4.99 and higher. This county is not out of control with their taxes, Jeff. I've been in 50 counties. I can tell you, this county is one of the most fiscal responsible counties I've ever seen. I'm not saying we're perfect, we're not. But when it comes to understanding this, and this is the information taxpayers need to understand, and I'm familiar with this stuff, I deal with it all the time. I'm all about being fiscal responsible to the taxpayer. But I'm also believing in putting the correct information out there to people. This article shows the least 25 counties in the state of Illinois with property tax. We are tied for number 17 lowest. I don't know if I gave you that number or not, Jason.
Yeah, I see.
Okay? Folks, this.
What was the number, you said 1 point, earlier you said the
Yeah,
difference,
about
is that
1.1.
one
I
math
can look
right?
at it and
Okay.
tell you that it's about 1.1. Again, I do my homework and I'm gonna show you facts and facts only. I believe this is correct. This came out of somebody that does their homework. And we're one of the least taxing counties in the state. I understand when people say they don't wanna pay taxes. I get that. I'm a property taxpayer here too, and I don't wanna pay any more than I have to either. But I just think it's important. If you need to see where any of those counties are, here's a map of Illinois showing you the different counties and where they're located. Be my guest to call them, find out what they're doing. I think it's,
The lowest in the
well,
state is
Pope and
Hardin.
Pulaski, yeah, Hardin,
Hardin
what's
County.
in Hardin County?
Yeah,
0, nothing.
and we're 17 from the bottom.
Yeah, meaning we're one of the lowest taxed. And again, on that other side, the number 25 county, that's where I came from,
Madison County,
Mason,
Mason.
okay? The tax rate there is 12.2% and rising. Kind of ties into where I'm going with what this whole thing is, guys. Because of the ability that you've given me with technology and my knowledge.
So Williamson County, am I reading that right, is in the same 17 as we are?
Yeah. Least, lowest property tax.
Yeah, there's,
And again, guys, I'm not trying to overwhelm you with information either, because it can get overwhelming. I just want to let you know. Again, because you guys enabled me some technology and everything else, I was able to reassess this county. That is something that is, the level of reassessments that I've done in this county is not being done throughout the state of Illinois. That's why when I bring you that chart, remember that chart I kept showing you guys about uniformity and equity? What that equates into is a fairness. Now, do I have everybody right? No. I had a gentleman in here yesterday, mad as hell at me, threatening me. And I said, sir, come down, let's talk and find out what's going on. He walked out going, I'm his new best friend, because I explained things to him and I showed him, you know, when he talked to me respectively, I showed him. And we agreed. Okay? That's what I bring to the table, folks. We had a total of 30 complaints this year, formal complaints. Out of that 30, 15 of them were caused from me discovering that we had something overassessed and we needed to correct it.
Top
Okay.
25 lowest tax rates by county per $100,000 residential property value. So if I look at my home and the value's $100,000, my taxable value would be what? 33323,
Yeah.
correct? So according to this, if that was the case, my taxes should be in the neighborhood of $1,300.
And again, you're dealing with averages here, so it's numbers, but still, it's still a reflection.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, thank you. Asbestos, okay,
I text that information to you.
okay, thank you. Tax cycle. Okay, so my border review is in 14, 15, April 14th and 15th. Okay, I have two complaints that I want to make you aware of. I've already made the state's attorney aware of both. One of them is Walgreens. Walgreens sold in 2010 for $4 million. Walgreens just sold for $5.8 million.
The building,
The building and the land, according to the P-tax form, well, here it is, right here,
it's where you record the, yeah,
$5.794 million.
okay.
I raised their value to $1.9 million.
Tax-
Not assessed, total. Okay? They filed a complaint on that. My first phone call I made after they called me and said they didn't agree and they were gonna file a complaint was to the Illinois Department of Revenue Appraisal Department. They gave me access to several appraisals. I reviewed those appraisals. The
On this particular building, you mean?
No,
or-
no, on Walgreens in general in the state of Illinois. Because I think a Walgreens is a Walgreens in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, they're pretty much identical.
They're identical. One of the appraisers' information
The
that.
building may be identical.
Right,
it
but
may
the
be
business
better-
may be, but again,
It may be in a more or less desirable.
well, it could be, but, and this brings up my question that I'm gonna be bringing to the Assessors Association, just what are we assessing? Again, I'm telling you, they paid 5.8, and they're saying the building and the land's worth 5.8, when in essence, I know why they paid 5.8, they paid for the net lease, triple net lease. That's what they're paying for here. Walgreens still isn't in their agreement when they sell it, is to take care of the taxes. They have one individual that fights their appeals. I seen 8 of his appraisals. I have a real issue that I've got, mine sold twice, and 2 other Walgreens and the CVS sold between $3.1 and $5.8 million. Now, I don't know what my board review is gonna do with this information, but I'm just making you aware, because if it does get, whatever happens, and it goes to court or PTAB, the county would have to reimburse them if we lose on an appeal.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got pretty good information.
I
don't you?
believe I do, Jeff. But however, I've been dealing with PTAB and court enough to know that nothing's ever 100%. Okay, but I'm just making you aware. The other one that needs to be discussed, and again, you guys need to be involved, and that's Lafarge. And after we had agreed to keep their assessment based on their appraisal and agreement, we lowered it $2.5 million. Well, based on the school district's input, based on the fact that I was out there, they've got all kinds of stuff, concrete and steel out there, I decided to raise it back up to another $2.5 million of assessed. Okay, 7.5 million market. What that's gonna do with the combination of farmland and other reassessment, that means the tax rate here in this county is gonna go down.
Especially in that district.
Especially in that district. But irrespective of what the border review does, even if they lower it some or whatever, I just wanna make it clear right now, because of the efforts in the assessment office, the tax rates are gonna go down. Because you guys are P-TEL, the levies were not raised, the values are higher, kinda like a teeter-totter. If the values go up, levies stay here, the rates are gonna drop. So unless I reassessed your parcel, your tax rate's gonna drop, which means your taxes should lower. Okay?
Okay.
That's all right. So, I'm gonna be dealing with that, and I'll keep you abreast on what happens at the Board of Review with Lafarge, because like I
What
said,
date was that again?
April 14th and 15th. The 15th is etched out just for Lafarge. Walgreens is Thursday afternoon. And it is public, it's gonna be out there on the door a week ahead, so it's gonna be open to the public and anybody can
Where will
come.
this be held?
Down in my office, unless 30, 50 people come, and then
Somewhere else.
we may have to do something different. So if anybody, more than welcome to come, you know, just to hear what goes on, because a lot of it's, you know, like I said, the school district's, again, the major stakeholder here, so I'm sure they're gonna be heavily involved in this going forward. Okay? And the last thing I got is my reappointment comes up May 3rd. This needs to be done ahead of time so that you guys can get reimbursed on my salary from the state of Illinois. Just to make it clear, I've gotta have qualifications, continuing education to even hold my position now. I've got it right here. Here's my education that I've taken training that I did as a supervisor of assessments. Jeff, I don't know if you've ever seen that letter, but when I talk about the importance of reassessing, this is a county that was forced to reassess. I didn't solicit for this letter. This letter came, and I was very honored to receive a letter from a county that a person understands the importance of reassessment and the level of work that it takes. I can factually tell you it can be done. And what's amazing is when you look at my salary, which is part of the office budget, which is not in the audit, okay? That assessment office's expense, according to the office budget, has been anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000 a year to Massac County taxpayers. That's it.
Just to go on the record again, how much of your salary is reimbursed by the state?
50%, as long as I keep, you know, and I can tell you right now, there's a county right now about ready to lose it. It's not a give me, but I am not concerned about it because of the reassessment effort that's been made.
Okay.
You know, if you need to, right here, it talks about the reimbursement that they pay the state's attorney, public defender, and myself. There's only 3 offices. There's a reason why the state reimburses those offices. They require things from those offices. They require you to be an attorney to be a state's attorney. They require 3 different things for me. Require a certified Illinois official certificate of the Illinois Prophecy Institute, or an evaluator or international association, or an MAI, Master Appraisal of the Appraisal Institute. Besides that, you've got to have, you know, experience, which I have an appraiser's background, which is unique. There's probably only 10 in the state of Illinois that's got my credentials. Okay? So you have one of the top assessors right here in this county. Also, you have to pass an exam. And Jason knows how difficult the Board of Review exam is. It's not easy. You can multiply that times 10 for the SFA exam. 70% of the people still do not pass it when they take it. It's not an easy job. All I'm trying to say is, guys, I brought a lot to the table. I'm gonna be fiscally responsible and continue to be fiscally responsible. I can go in to compare to other counties and what they're paying. I've given you guys literature on what other counties are paying. All I can say is, my salary is only half of what the county's responsible for. So when somebody looks at increasing my salary, you're only looking at 50% of it. And all I can tell you, I'll give you 3 examples. Franklin County is making $50,000, does not have the credentials or has done the job I've done. Johnson County, or Johnson's 50, Franklin's 55. They even have township form of government, so they don't even do reassessing. That's done at the township level, we're supposed to. And my predecessor in Union County is making over $55,000 to $60,000. She told me she was making 60, but some of the places I looked said she made 55. I'm 42.5. And I agreed to do it for 42.5 4 years ago. But now I'm here to be paid what I think is a fair salary for what I've done. And again, when you're looking at my salary, please understand, I'm taking into consideration my whole office budget. And I challenge anybody to go anywhere and show me an assessment office that's done everything I've accomplished in this office with my staff for under $100,000 a year. And my office is very complicated. It doesn't mean that I'm more important. It's very important to the tax cycle, yes, but it doesn't make me the most important office. And that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I bring a lot to the table. I don't just bring years of service to the table. I bring the background, and I've been in this job in the supervisor's position for 5 years now. All I need to make sure is that the paperwork's filled out and we get it, we have to do a SOAR thing, a statement for reappointment. And that all that paperwork's gotta be turned in before.
Alright, well, we need to make sure it's done, at least by the 19th or 26th.
April 21st, April 22nd. Have you got a hold of, who was you getting a hold of? Josh and?
21st?
April 21st on a Thursday, Josh and Maureen,
Okay.
and,
So 1 up in the morning, and I would say Josh in the morning and Maureen in the afternoon.
okay.
Because Josh typically,
He only works mornings down there, doesn't he? Most of the time.
most of the time, I mean, he does a lot on his, at home and other places, but yeah, he's only in his office, I think. And that's something else too, I want you to understand too, both of those people in smaller counties are making more than me. All I wanna do, guys, is be paid fair for what I do, that's all I'm saying. I know some other people aren't gonna like it, I get that, I understand that. But a lot of people don't understand the position and what has been accomplished here. Oh, by the way, the last county that chose to reassess their county because things weren't being done properly, not being uniform and equitable, I got an email here, it cost them over $700,000.
Because they had to hire a company, you mean, or?
Because they had an
They
outside
had a
firm do it.
force. I mean, they were.
Well,
forced.
they were
Or
forced to
fixing
because
to.
they had angry taxpayers that were tired of not being treated fairly, and to a point where the commissioners made a decision, between the county and the township, they paid for a total reassessment.
Alright,
Of course,
Gary.
that letter came from that county that was forced to be reassessed, Tazewell County. That was part of the Walsh case. That's why I felt honored to have somebody that had that happen to them, show that kind of respect.
Why was they forced to, I mean, what was their,
Because the supervisor of assessments was sales chasing.
you mean, not this guy,
Not that-
the prior one must have been?
Yeah, it was a prior one. And it was, Walsh, was saying that just because they paid $350 didn't mean it was worth $350. They just, in that particular moment, that's what they wanted, so that's what they paid.
Walsh,
But the
mean,
judge-
Walsh was a home buyer, a
Yeah,
business
I
buyer.
think they had a law director on it too, though. They weren't just an uneducated buyer in the marketplace. But anyway, if you ever want to read an interesting case law, it's pretty interesting. But, the one thing that, it was Judge Heupel that ruled on that, he required the whole county to be reassessed when really and truly, probably Pekin should have been the only thing reassessed. But that was back in 1998, I believe. Do you have any questions, Gerald, or?
I'm good.
Okay. Jason, is there anything I can answer?
No, we met
I mean-
Sunday and talked, and I think I got.
Like I said, the only other thing that I get is a performance stipend if I keep my COD and all the, median level, all is in acceptable range, but it's not guaranteed.
Right.
But I hope with the efforts I've made and my staff with this reassessment, again, when I say reassessment, I mean updating pictures, updating corporate record cards, and values. But again, unless you guys give me that source for technology, I would never have been able to do that. And the other thing of it is also too, I've got 3 employees right now. One of them's being paid by a federal grant. That's about to end. one was being paid through the GIS. So that means only one full-time employee has been paid out of the general. I've had one part-time. My part-time hasn't been back because of some issues she's had with retirement. Otherwise, I got butch 10 days a year.
10 days a year?
10 days a year. That's how efficient I've got this thing going, Jeff. Traffic is the biggest cost to a taxpayer in an office, is your traffic flow. And I've eliminated 90% of it.
Why would you say that that's the biggest cost? Because
Labor's your biggest cost of your office.
It ties up your labor.
Yeah, anytime phone rings, if you're sitting there working and the phone rings, and then you gotta go back to what you're doing, and some of this stuff is very technical. I mean, when you're dealing with deeds, you're dealing with legal descriptions, you're trying to map things out and you gotta interrupt it. You know, there's offices around here that constantly get interrupted, I don't know how they get anything done. Because it's hard, Lynn, I think you can attest to that. I mean, if somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, I mean, labor is our biggest cost, and if you eliminate that traffic flow, like I said, we had 15 legitimate complaints this year, guys. We've usually had, when I got here, over 200. You know, I'm trying to get this down to where I work in a space this big. I don't need that much space, because I'm gonna utilize technology so that I got everything in my office online. And if I've got that, then I've eliminated 97%, and all we're doing is just data entry, maintaining stuff. And we can do that, and we can get it there. I can guarantee you, legislation is gonna require it eventually. That's one of the things they're gonna require, everything to be out there available. Number two, they're gonna, the state of Illinois, I just was at a meeting in Decatur, MyDeck, it's common. They're not gonna be coming into the clerk's office to record anymore, they're gonna be doing it through the state of Illinois. Right now, we enter those P-tax forms, property, those deeds, when they get recorded, we put it in what they call the RED system, which is a real estate declaration system for the state of Illinois. At some point, the MyDeck and the RED system are gonna interface, and I won't even have to produce an abstract. I won't even have to do that function anymore, because the state of Illinois will be able to run my abstract for me. So, this technology, when you start embracing it, it makes things so much smoother, but it's coming, because the taxpayers want responsibility. They want transparency.
Well, we gotta stay on the agenda at 10:30, it's 10:30.
Are you kicking me off?
Well,
All right.
You got everything covered, ain't you?
And then some. If anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.
thank you, Gary.
Okay?
Don't run away too far, Patrick.
I won't, I just need to say something here.
Okay.
What was her name?
Okay. I'm gonna throw a copy of on my hand. There's the pages that was, some of them had blanks. Juanita had questions as far as what to put in the blanks. I think these are actual carryover numbers that Dana produced.
They were the numbers.
Account balances at the end.
December 31st, 2015.
Okay. What would you like to put in there for a budget then? Have you got a? Looking at old budgets, I mean, there is numbers in them. I don't know. Let me see how old the budget I got. I've got a real old budget. Where I've got one that's 2010's the latest one I've got. What's your front page, 40? Tuberculosis fund?
Yeah.
Well, there are budgeted numbers in some of those. Would you like to fill those out, get an idea, or what's your thoughts? I think the reason they haven't been is since 12, 13, maybe, well, I don't have an 11, they might have been filled out in 11. You following me? All those basis.
Yeah, I see 14, 15, those things.
I don't know what page you're on now.
All right. State's Attorney Drug Asset Forfeiture Fund, I mean, I don't know how you do a budget for that, I mean, it's just what they forfeit, right?
Well, I can explain, I guess, a little bit about that. This is the, not to call me
Step
come
up, yeah, that's why you're here.
I guess there's a few things that you need to know about it. In our audits in the past,
What page is that on, Jason?
43.
in our audits in the past, the auditor has noted that there have been certain funds that were not budgeted, but money was expended from those funds. One of them was this fund, State's Attorney's Drug Asset Forfeiture Fund. That money comes from, the money in that fund is essentially forfeited money that is generated from criminal cases where people who are selling drugs, have money seized or have assets seized, and the money goes into this fund. It can only be spent for certain purposes related to the enforcement of drug laws. So what I did was look back at how we'd spent the money in the past and generated a budget for how I anticipated it would be spent this year. It doesn't generate very much money. I think there's probably $4,000 to $5,000 total in the fund.
I'll tell you this thing.
I had Drug Education Fund 1,000, reimbursement for investigator 2,000, training 1,000.
Correct. So what I did was presented a budget that I don't anticipate using all that money, but in case we needed money for training, there was $1,000 there to spend, or drug education programs of $1,000. The one item I do anticipate spending is the $2,000, because when we entered into that agreement for the investigator, we were required by Massac County to put $8,000 toward that, and when we entered into that agreement, I told you that I could use $2,000 to offset the general fund's cost toward the investigator. So that's where that $2,000 figure comes in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Give me another example there in front of you, Jason. Some
Massac Mental Health Fund,
Give me a page.
page 40. We don't set their budget. It's an individual board.
Well, I think that's referring to, not to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I think that's referring to the amount we receive on the tax levy.
Right.
And that is collected by what's called the 708 board, and then it just expends money to local mental health providers, and we have one in our county.
Okay.
So it's almost a pass-through.
So that number should be off of what the levy is, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That would be my understanding. You
Yeah.
can confirm
It's
that
a-
with Juanita.
Okay.
The one above that, tuberculosis, is exactly the levy, the same deal, it should be. It's right above that,
Yeah.
mental health. Should be able to get that off the levy.
Is he talking correct, Patrick? Still? I think so.
What was the one? I'm sorry?
Tuberculosis?
Yes.
Okay. Health department. We have 0 all the way across the board on that.
That's what,
But there's also a tax levy for that. So that,
I think
Mental
they're
health,
operating
Massac
off their
mental
own
health.
money, ain't they? The health department, wouldn't they,
But I believe we levy. Or am I thinking about what money that we may just spend?
I'm not sure that we're giving Massac, or,
We're not paying any money to the
it'd be the
health
Southern 70, correct?
department. Right, correct, yes.
It's probably why I said the zeros, or you could probably be taken off that sheet.
Well, I mean, in the future, we may have to put money toward it, so we may have to budget it.
Okay.
Better put it back in the
Yeah,
line,
I'm just-
otherwise I'll all be screwed up.
The next, on page 41 is general assistance fund. It's all filled out, so there's no question on that.
Okay.
Next page 42 is,
Hey, just back up that page
Yeah.
one time, I'm just curious what that number is for 2016 budget.
looks like the very bottom says 165,982.
Okay.
On the page 42, the next page, indemnity fund, very small. What does it show the balance of that indemnity fund? I didn't know if it was on that sheet right there. And document storage fund, are the 2 on this page.
I did see Doc Storage somewhere in here. 37,451, now that's the carryover,
That's how
correct?
much is basically sitting in the fund.
Well,
And that's generated from fees from court cases.
before we get to that one above it is indemnity fund. What's the purpose of that there, indemnity fund?
this one, it's showing about, am I reading the right line, Patrick, is it 54,000?
Yes.
Indemnity fund says,
Well, yeah, on the 1231, that's what was in that account, so what can that be spent on?
I'll have to get you the precise,
I'll just write in, what'd you say was 54,000?
758 and 15 cents.
Now,
That was
but the
a question Juanita and I had, is what do we wanna put on those? Do we wanna put the year-end balances?
well, in the past, it showed, 3,373 and 5,650.
For an estimate and an
Yes.
actual?
Yeah.
For different years, correct?
Right.
Do you think we're doing the right thing, putting those numbers on there? As in,
yes, you should budget, I mean, the unfortunate nature of the budget is money that may be spent or may not be spent. So I think you should budget an amount for it. I mean,
that makes sense, but it don't have to be the complete thing,
No,
correct?
no.
So we can limit it, just because there's 54,000 in that, we could put 5,000
you
budgeted.
would wanna see how the money's generated, how much money is generated, what the use of the money is for. You know, is this money that really no money's coming in, but you need to have that 54,000 last you 10 years, or is there adequate money coming in to cover the expenses? Those are
Do
questions.
you wanna put a number on there right fast, Jason? You got something here?
No, I'm just writing, we're gonna check on it,
Okay.
because we need to figure out exactly what that's. Document storage, there's nothing being spent out of that, right? That's on.
Let me mention this, though, there is nothing currently being spent out of it, but that doesn't mean.
That we can't budget for.
Correct.
It's just locked down right now.
Right.
So the current balance is, what, 30-something thousand, is it?
37,451.85.
So, you know, you may wanna put what you think is an appropriate budget on it, and if, you know, the money isn't able to be spent, then at the end of the year, $0 will come out of it, but if money is freed up to be used, then you've got a budget.
But that is something that Larry would have to work with us on.
Correct. You wanna,
It has to
Okay with them.
have the judge's approval, correct?
right. But Larry could tell you.
But we could put the number in the budget.
Right.
And Larry would maybe give you an idea of how much, if money's able to be spent.
So on this one, I just put ask Larry and the judge. State's attorney forfeited the fund, you just explained that to us. So, the next one is current tax automation fee fund. There's been nothing on that for the last 2 or 3 years.
Has there been any,
Been no activity on the sheet.
that's kinda odd, isn't it, Patrick? Have we not used that fund at all?
I wouldn't know.
No,
I don't know if we have, cause I'm not, that would
That's
be
not-
probably something to do with the treasurer, the county clerk would be aware of.
I'll just write on there,
Ask,
treasurer.
would you like a
Or
current,
Mr. Hand.
1231 budget, or I mean, actual? Current tax automation, that's right, Jason, right? Is that what you're working on?
Yeah.
Read it to him, I can't read it.
24,785 is in the account, ending of 2015.
So you don't know who would be able to have access to that? Which
I would have,
office?
I don't know, I'm sure it's one of those three, and maybe all three are involved, but I can look that up for you.
Next one is, sales and error fund. Looks like $728 was,
Spin?
15, I don't know what's the current balance in sales and error.
63,348. The issue with that fund is, how money is expended is outside the control of, complete control of the treasurer and the county clerk's office. Because the court can order a sale and error, and if the court orders a sale and error,
You gotta
will
jump on
direct
that.
the treasurer to pay out of that fund.
It's kinda like a savings account, for lack of a better word, I
Well,
guess.
that's why the money's there, is to cover that cost if a court orders a sale and error. And I've been involved in,
But we could budget 5,000 in there,
Right.
and then if we get that court order, we can amend the budget to
Correct.
release some more money out of this fund.
right, well, I guess the reason I was bringing that up is maybe when we spent less than $1,000, don't assume
Yeah.
that's a good budget number.
That's what I'm
Because
getting at.
they're, yeah, exactly.
Isn't sale an error, isn't some of that because of the tax, something went to tax sale
It should have.
incorrectly?
Either it was an error on the, sometimes it's an error on the part of the county, sometimes it's an error on the part of the tax buyer. The tax buyer can make errors and then get payment out of that fund. That's generally what goes to court, is when the tax buyer makes an error but still able to collect out of the fund.
I wrote that on there, it's just money used in a court order by the judge. Couldn't figure that out. Rusty Medical Fund. It was $749.14.15.
Well, I find out, are we not using that to pay their
Well,
medical bill?
one time they had built up a balance, and then we used it to pay the, Metropolis Drugs bill.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical bills
It's-
for a while.
The ending balance is $6,068.
But in the past,
Would
we've used it to pay, pharmaceutical bills for.
Do we need to put a number on that budget right there, right?
Yeah.
What, you got a thought?
We use 5,000 of it. I mean, the bill just came through today from Metropolis Drugs for like $400 or $500. So.
I wonder
will
if,
say that, go ahead.
do we have a blank number on that in 2015's budget? Is that why it's zero? Could be, see. You follow me?
Yeah.
If it wasn't budgeted, then they wouldn't have been pulling from it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
What was you gonna say, Pat?
I was just gonna say that generally, the jail administrator and the sheriff are very conscientious about spending money on a rescue medical, so I think if you budgeted at a higher number that you wanna spend, still it's there, and they're gonna be careful not to hit that. Not to speak for them, but I know from experience dealing with those cases.
You making notes, Steve? You?
Okay, unemployment compensation.
I assume that's this line item right here.
I would think so, yes.
Showing a 12/31 balance at 27,351. No, that's an old budget, that's 2006. Is that why would they have been budgeting that amount way back then?
Well, part of it is, and we wanna talk to Ms. White King Newberry or Ms. Angley perhaps about it, but there is a levy for that, and maybe the fact that that's where it is because.
We've spent out of it.
Right. And then
Okay.
when the money's, is collected, then we pay that insurance
Into,
bill.
yeah, okay.
So we'll put on
We
there,
need to find out
we'll say,
what it-
ask with the county clerk and treasurer.
Right, because Dana should be able to tell you,
what was levied.
right, and then what was also spent out of it, if there were one big check or if there's checks written throughout the year.
We'll put levy amount, question mark, and what checks we're taking. Automation fee fund. Next one.
Ending balance was 122,253. Now, is that another one that froze up?
Yes, there was two, the document storage and the automation.
But we can still put it in a budget, it just can't be touched
Till we get
until
judicial
further.
approval. Right.
That's something we need to ask Larry, how that budget be used with the judge, right? I mean, there's just,
Right, and, you know,
We can
yes,
put a
the short
number
answer
in
to
there
that
if
is,
you'd like.
yes, you should get their involvement in it. I mean, you may actually want them to,
Strike a number in there.
put a number that they think.
Is reasonable.
Right.
okay, I'll put that next one. GIS mapping.
Ending balance is 63,681. 2006's budget was 68,000, so.
That's what Gary uses in his office.
But we don't really know what you don't even have 2014 actual, or was that all
Two
blank?
thousand, 78,730. 15 was the estimates, 55,000.
Got a number in mind? Was 15 when we did the flyover, or was that 14?
We do what?
The flyover, that come out of GIS mapping.
Yeah, I think it was 14.
That was $45,000?
Didn't we split that 3 ways?
Oh, okay.
The
So it was
city metropolis.
15,000 for us. I thought it was, I couldn't remember if it was 15 or 45 our part,
I thought we split it with the city, 911 paid it, and then the county paid it.
but I can't remember what our third was.
I don't either. I put on here, we'll talk to Gary on this.
That's the last page I got, 49. You got another page?
Corner surcharge fund.
I don't know anything about that one. Don't have any notes.
It says 0 all the way across. The corners fund never charged anything. Surcharge fund.
It's,
There's $12,000 in the account, just under $13,000 in the account.
And the corner surcharge fund.
Yes,
how does that fund get money? Anybody know?
I would have to look at the statute, I don't know off the top of my head. And maybe something,
I mean, we can maybe use that to help pay for, if there's barrels for people who don't have no money, it's the burden can put on us now,
correct,
you know?
I mean, I'm saying that possible that could be
Yeah.
used.
Are you gonna check on that for
Yep.
us, please?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Remember he came to
paupers,
us
you know.
and said, that, you know, that could be, well, I forget how much money he said it'd be, or, what was it? Was it $2,200 to bury it? Is that the price they got, or 1,800, or 24?
I thought he said something about cremation, what was it, $600 some odd dollars, and I said, well, it sounds like that's, you know,
Yeah, it was.
maybe that was I can't remember, whatever the cheapest one was, that's what I was leaning to. But
Yeah.
according to him, everybody wants to have a full-blown funeral for grandpa on the taxpayer's bill.
So we could possibly use for,
Check back with Patrick. How many more pages you got?
probation service fund. It's all filled out. I don't know.
They just fill that budget out, don't they?
Somebody tell me. Did you want to?
No.
Mutual medical plan fund, 2015, it looks like, carryover was 5,775 for 15. Receipts was 350,000. What do you show for 16 under mutual medical plan fund? I mean, basically, that's just, it's where we just run money through to pay the,
It's levied, correct? Or
I don't know that it's separately levied, but it comes, I believe, out of.
liability,
Right.
well, I have a mutual medical plans
Well, maybe that is it. I'm sorry.
account.
what balance?
The ending balance was $15,013.
Maybe they just separated.
But there we just basically put money in it, paid the bills that we ran through there.
Is that what, every now and then we just fill out a claim from county general for $15,000 into the health plan, correct? You may. It's an oldie but good.
Curiosity.
That's why I looked through it, curiosity. And you know what, since you're in here, I'm curious about, one of these, I had a whole bunch of notes on state's attorneys.
Oh, boy, lucky me. What'd you get for showing up, Frank?
Gerald,
Yes, sir.
how long have you been around here? This thing says 2014, 2004, you voted on that one.
98?
Did you start in 98?
Yeah.
This budget's so old, it didn't even have a, index, what's at the front of the book?
Table of contents.
Table of contents on this
Yeah,
one.
where things are at.
That's before they invented table of contents.
So,
What page is the state's attorney's on?
16 on this one.
See, let me try that.
Right after election authority and right before supervisory assessments.
Okay. I got some asterisks here for 2004.
Okay.
State's attorney's fees collection from 1103 to 11/30/03 and deposited into county's general fund, 261,473. I wonder why their fees would have been so high. Isn't that a lot higher than ours are now, or are you bringing in that kind of cash?
It's about that. I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but it's,
I thought that sounded high,
no, I think that's probably about where
in
we're
the
at.
ballpark.
Yeah.
So was he making more money back in?
Than I am now.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I was thinking that was somewhere in the 90 range. Oh, that includes both, doesn't it?
No.
Is it just one?
Right. You've got, top line is you know, elected official salaries, then you've got staff salaries.
Which would include an assistant, or did he have an assistant?
He had an assistant. He's been an assistant here for 30 years or more. Well, more than 30 years, because Frazier had one. Part-time salaries is pretty large. We don't use
Yeah.
that anymore. I don't know why that was so large, though. What is it at? That's just seems. Oh, union contract. So it looks like they, see the difference there in the estimate
Mm-hmm.
and then the budget? It doesn't, I mean, those
Don't
numbers
make
are
sense.
basically the same, but it's part-time. I mean, I don't, but then you look at 2000, what, that's a 2004 budget.
This is a 4, what year you got a 10?
6, but the 2004 actual was, there wasn't really anything spent on a part-time.
Huh. What do we got? Oh, I've got it in my hand, never mind.
Right there.
You asking me?
No, I'm sorry, I got what I was gonna ask him from me. You got a 6 budget, is that what
I've
you're
got
saying?
6, which would have 5 numbers, and then 6 is budget.
I'm just curious the difference in them. You two, oh, you're making notes again, Jason?
Just making a
A
front
list.
page of things that need to be done. You ready for this? Okay, courthouse renovation funds, the next one. Brian.
See, I'm out of pages.
What shows the balance in courthouse renovation fund?
Are you seeing that? I think that is a new, isn't that the new account?
Yeah. Okay, so, we'll just,
I guess
use
we
it as a
can find-
savings and just, you know, as it needs it. And that's it, there's nothing else. Last page.
Well, do we need to put a budget on that page, though, don't we? We can find out what the amount is.
Yeah, I just put on there, what's the balance question?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if maybe
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know if it was on there.
What do you got, roughly 7 pages, maybe?
Yeah, I'm just, going through here real quick and just write down what each page is, what questions you need to ask.
Wanting to have spring fever, or you know if she'll be feeling better tomorrow, or Don't know.
I think she'll be here tomorrow.
She'll be awful quiet.
I'm studying.
Studying.
Yeah.
All right, almost done. Take your time. Like you said over here, Jason.
Jason has everything on hand that you need.
If you can find it.
If I can find it. It's somewhere,
Do you ever throw anything away over there?
eventually. Here you go.
Put them in order and I'll make you a copy of that question page.
Yes, and you can keep that too.
Yep.
It's got all the,
I'll
what
make
each
sure I-
page number is and what the question
Thank
is.
you. I will try to work on that tomorrow, best of my abilities. And some of them, she will just be Lynn typing in some numbers, won't they?
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, there's, on the cover sheet, you'll see there's a few questions you need to ask the treasurer about. And that one on Gary Hand, you need to ask about GIS thing. And then Patrick's gonna follow up on a couple of questions there. Right. Okay. Okay.
Patrick, if we get this filled out, in your opinion, what is our next step? Do we need to
You need to let it,
let it stew for 21 days or
15 days,
15
you
days?
need to vote that you put out for public display for 15 days, the final version.
Final version.
And then it sits, and then you have your budget approval after that.
Okay.
Can I make a recommendation, we start this process about August of this year?
Why don't we go ahead and start it now
We can do that if you
for
want.
17, since we're so,
So far behind. Let's try to have this pass this coming year, by the middle of December for next year. If we can.
let's go for the 1st of December. You wanna do that?
That'd be great. We can get it done. This should have been passed already.
Such as it is.
I think the roofing guy's almost here,
Oh, okay.
so
Are you gonna meet with him?
I gotta go to work.
Oh, okay. I didn't know why I thought maybe you get a text from him or something.
Well, he's texted me, said he's almost here. Marcia's gonna meet him with.
Yeah, she's been out there waiting on him for.
Yeah, he's running behind. I mean, I have to leave by noon to go to work, but
So you can get on all three elevations?
yeah, go do everything. So if you all wanna go up there, you're welcome to, if you don't.
I'm not going to. Going. Gerald does,
I can, but I've gotta go home first.
you got Agnes.
Yeah, that ain't.
Have you been talking to a contractor about tuck point?
5 of them.
Okay.
If that sales tax would have passed, why, I was gonna send all of them the bid sheet and all, that haven't come down. But this other one was a sandblaster that I talked to yesterday. You might know him, Dean Hall. He, you know where, well, behind the Plaza Tower, place that did welding back there.
Yeah.
He bought that. And he's doing sandblasting, he works construction, he's done back there, he said.
A bunch of tuck pointing?
Yeah. That's what he said.
When you say they did sandblasting, is he a sandblaster that sandblasts that mortar out, or is he just,
I don't know.
Does it all?
He's sandblasting there, it's hard to
Yeah.
say, he wants to do it, but he's gotta keep working on it now. But he said that you could just do that top part and not do the whole building.
I guess you could, but that sounds like a hell of a gamble to me. I mean, you wouldn't wanna start fixing a lot of inside stuff up, and then find out, well, lo and behold, it was leaking 2 foot below that too, would you?
Well, there's no evidence that did. But I mean, whatever we decide, if we've got the money, well, fine. Probably make it look better.
Well, I don't know about looks, but I think functionality, in my opinion, I would bet the whole building needs it, wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know why this is pop-ups, Lisa. You know, I don't understand that. But that's where the cracks are, too. I think most of it.
We're in that big old flat concrete piece.
Yeah.
Gerald, I could stay with the gentleman for a while, but I have to go to work. Do you think he could come back at some point in case he has any questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know, I
Well,
mean,
if, Marcia's gonna be with him, I mean, they might just call or something, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know, I probably need to leave around 12, 12:15.
Is she gonna go,
She's gonna be with him, yes.
I mean, what about them? She gonna stay with? I'll run home and change clothes.
Oh, is that what you're gonna do? Get ready, get out of your silk shirt?
No, I've got nothing.
I'll take care of business.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.